our roots, because they were so ambitious and entrepreneurial, we've always done things that are a little different, always innovative.
How is it that a bank headquartered in St. Cloud is really launching Islamic banking in such a full way, in a way that other national banks have not?
We've really been enriched with diversity as an organization.
What Stearns Bank is doing at a national is being done for the first time in the country.
We've been looking for a full solution for not just years, but sometimes even decades.
A central Minnesota bank in middle of the country, having recognized the need of the community and making the investment, is a beautiful story.
My folks were North Dakota farmers, so young, ambitious people, and he decided to go into banking. Dad's boss pulled him in one day, said, if you really want to be in banking, you should probably try to buy a small bank and go to a small bank. So Mom looked in the old banking magazine and said, there's a teller job, an insurance sales job up in this small town in Minnesota. Got a job at the Stearns County Bank, selling insurance to farmers in the evening, working the teller, very small bank. Dad said to the owner, I'd kind of like to try to buy this bank. And he laughed. He said, you? And of course, Dad was like, yeah. And so he put together with the community a small group, and his dad. The bank was literally $3 million in size, very, very tiny. So they grew the bank from a local community bank. We're about 500 employees. We have locations in Minnesota, Arizona, and Florida. So we really look at areas that what is the banking industry not doing a good job in serving? And there's always, and it's not because of credit, it's just sometimes it's a little bit too technical of area that it takes too much study to get into.
And so in 2023, Kelly put the time and effort into actually researching, well, what would it take to launch Islamic banking products in a way that comply with the values of the Muslims in this area and of Islamic law, while also abiding by all of the regulatory standards that the Federal Reserve and the OCC have set.
Salaam Banking came about because the community here had made their need felt to Kelly and her leadership for a very long time. Kelly had aspirations to have a product to service this community.
When we refer to Islamic banking in general, we're talking about the ways that often Muslims will engage with the banking sector in a way that complies with the values of their faith. And the core difference between what you would call conventional banking versus Islamic banking is the prohibition of interest.
The concept of interest is purely based on I give you money and I get more money back. In Islamic principles, that is not allowed. What is allowed is I can borrow money, invest in a project, and based out of that project, a profit can be shared.
But what is different is the structure itself, right? So it won't be a traditional interest-based note. It won't be structured as the bank having only a mortgage interest. There'll be a lease involved. There'll be lease payments involved. But the actual commercial elements of those payments are up to the bank to decide. And the way we've structured it is so that it will be commercially similar, so that it remains commercially viable for both the customer and for the bank.
What's innovative about our Islamic banking program is that it's very unique across the country to be a national bank with a national footprint, to be able to provide not only locally, but nationally, deposit products and financing products that are Sharia compliant.
And so for Stearns, what they saw was, well, here's a need in the community. Yes, we charge interest and that's typically how we make our money, but that's not the only way we can make our money. And so if we can create a new structure in which the customer is paying us for the work that we're doing, it's equitable, it's not advantaging them or disadvantaging them, and it's solving that need in the community, why wouldn't we?
The reason why Salaam Banking is essential for the central Minnesota is there is a large growing population of Somali American Muslims who need access to financing, who need access to banking, who need access to conducting their day-to-day life.
In everything that we do, it really comes out that Stearns is focused on authentically serving the community, not just trying to find a new revenue source, but really finding ways to partner with existing institutions to support them, to solve gaps that are not being solved, and to look beyond purely financial motives and really see, well, how does this community have create a level playing field?
I know that a decade or 2 decades from now, this investment will be recognized and will be acknowledged that a Central Minnesota National Bank chose to do this for their local community, and that is now having an impact across the country.
Empowering people, empowering families, empowering entrepreneurs, empowering aspirations, and that to me is really inspiring.
And having that impact is going to be a beautiful story.